let's dive right into the high-stakes world of competitive sports. You know, that place where the line between being the absolute best and, well, cheating can get incredibly blurry. We're talking about doping, a topic that, let's be honest, always seems to pop up in the headlines for all the wrong reasons.
And really, it all boils down to this one single question. When you've got all that pressure, when glory is right there for the taking, what are some athletes willing to risk for that top spot on the podium? Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, we have to start with the basics, right? What exactly are we talking about when we say doping? And why is it such a huge deal, a fundamental no-no in the world of sports?
So at its most basic level, doping is just using banned stuff, substances or even methods, to get an artificial leg up on the competition. But it's so much more than just breaking a rule. I mean, it's a direct hit on the entire idea of fair play, on the very spirit of what makes sports great.
Okay, so how do they do it? What's actually in this toolkit of deception, if you will? Let's break down the different kinds of substances that athletes might use to try and cheat the system.
So first up, you've got the stuff designed to make you stronger, faster. We're talking about things like anabolic steroids. You've probably heard of testosterone. They help build muscle mass and raw strength. Then there are peptide hormones, like HGH, human growth hormone, which is all about promoting muscle growth and helping you recover way, way faster.
But hey, it's not all about brute force and raw strength. For the endurance folks, think cyclists, long-distance runners, there's stuff like EPO. What it does is it boosts your red blood cells, which means you can carry more oxygen and just go for longer without getting tired. And then, of course, you've got stimulants, like amphetamines, that sharpen your focus and basically trick your body into ignoring how exhausted it really is.
And then you have the other side of the coin, the stuff they use to cover their tracks or just push through the pain. Diuretics, for example, can help an athlete try to flush other banned drugs out of their system before a test. And then there are narcotics, which let them compete even when they're injured, when their body is screaming at them to stop. It's a really dangerous game they're playing.
So, we've talked about the what and the how. Now we have to get into the real cost of all this. Because whatever temporary advantage an athlete thinks they're getting, well, the price they pay is just astronomical. We're talking health, career, the whole shebang. And I'm not exaggerating here. The consequences are absolutely devastating. They ripple out and touch every single part of an athlete's life, long, long after that final whistle blows.
The reality is just stark. This quote here mentions things like heart problems and liver damage specifically for anabolic steroids. But believe me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking serious, long-term damage to your most vital organs. We've all seen the tragic stories of former champions whose lives were cut short because of this.
And it's not just one category of substance either. Those hormones like EPO, they can thicken your blood, which massively increases the risk of blood clots and strokes. Stimulants can lead to crippling anxiety, insomnia, major heart issues. And in the absolute worst-case scenarios, this chase for a medal, it can literally kill you.
And look, beyond the terrifying physical risks, getting caught means your career is basically over. It's professional ruin. Just think about the whole Lance Armstrong saga. All those titles, gone. A legacy just completely destroyed. That's the price. You watch your sponsorships disappear, your career evaporate, and you lose the trust of every fan and fellow athlete you ever had.
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Doping is a betrayal. It just completely undermines all the incredible hard work of clean athletes. It eats away at the very idea of fair play, the thing that makes us love sports to begin with.
But it's not like the world of sports is just sitting back and letting this happen, right? So how are they fighting back? What does a system to catch these cheaters actually look like? All right, let's pull back the curtain on the anti-doping playbook. We're going to look at the systems and strategies that are in place to try and keep things fair for everyone.
Okay, so the whole process is led by an organization called WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency. And it's pretty straightforward, but really, really strict. First, they put out a list every single year of everything that's banned. Second, athletes can be tested anytime, anywhere, no hiding. And third, if you get caught breaking the rules, the penalties are severe.
Now, one of the smartest tools they have is something called the Athlete Biological Passport. This is really cool. Instead of just looking for one specific drug in a single test, it tracks an athlete's biological data over a long period. So if something suddenly spikes or changes in a way that just isn't natural, boom, that's a huge red flag. It makes it way harder to hide.
And here's a crucial point. It's not just the athlete who's on the hook. Their entire support team, we're talking coaches, doctors, nutritionists, everyone, they're all held accountable too. If you're caught helping an athlete to dope, you're going down with them.
But, just catching the cheaters, that's only half the battle. The real goal, the big picture win, is to build a culture where athletes don't even think about doping in the first place. It's about winning clean.
And to do that, you have to get to the root of the problem. Why do athletes do it? A lot of the time, it's a mix of two things. They might not fully grasp just how dangerous this stuff is, and at the same time, they're under this insane pressure to get results, like yesterday.
And that's why the most powerful weapons in this fight aren't just the tests, they're prevention and education. The real work is done by teaching the values of fair play right from the start, long before an athlete ever gets near a world-class stage.
So who's on the front lines of this? It's that support system. It's the coaches who push for smart, healthy, and totally legitimate ways to get better. It's the nutritionists who design eating plans that are both safe and super effective. They're the ones who make sure athletes can be confident that everything they're doing is above board.
Which brings us to the big, lingering question, right? Science never stands still. New ways to enhance performance are always on the horizon, some of them harder and harder to detect. So the real challenge is this constant cat and mouse game. Can the rules of fair play actually keep up? It's a race to make sure those timeless values of honest competition always stay one step ahead.